Hi guys, Materim here again with another narrative battle report. This battle we will see the Dark Elves facing off against the Daemons of Chaos in a 2500 point battle line. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the opening narrative. Hidden within the peaks of the Grey Mountains is a crumbling ruin of an ancient Grail chapel. Many years have passed since this site was sacred, and now the flowing waters of the Lady of the Lake have been replaced by festering blood. No longer did the Lady of the Lake hold sway here. Now the lady of this chapel was Malisandra, the Keeper of Secrets, ultimate puppet master of the chaos that now gripped the mountain range. Malisandra reclined on a great throne in the chapel, waited upon by the bound souls of four great temptresses. Her reverie was disturbed by a whisper that rocked her form like the sound of thunder. "Malisandra, attend me and report." The Keeper of Secrets quivered as the sound of her god's voice passed through her form. "Great Slaanesh, my plans are proceeding with haste. The Bretonnians move relentlessly to their own damnation, and many have been killed whom I have offered to you." The voice of Slaanesh twisted with displeasure. "It is a poor servant who gives lesser gifts when they have the chance at greater." The keeper's eyes widened with fear. "My lord, what greater is there in these lands that I could give you?" "Dear Melisandre," the god's voice softened again, "the ripples of your undertaking have spread across the great sea and drawn the attention of the Cainite elves of House Darkheart. They have sent their forces into the edge of your domain, and are fattening themselves on the plunder of Bretonnia. You know how I desire the souls of those elves. How could I consider you a worthy servant, when you have not given me that which I desire so ardently?" "I was unaware of their presence, my lord." Melisandre fell to her knees and debased herself before her god. "I beg you, give me the chance, and I shall give you a great slaughter of elves, and bind their souls to your service." The Dark Prince chuckled. "You have been a worthy servant, so I shall not destroy you for this failing. Go now, and bring me the souls of the children of Cain." Alright, and so the forces of Melisandre charge out and meet the Dark Elves and come upon one of their raiding parties. Here's the battlefield we're looking at. In the center, we have a lake, which is mysterious at this point, mysterious forest. We have sets of walls on either side of the battlefield. In the one on the right-hand side is a banestone. There's also a, sort of looks like a model. It's actually a miniature from the Skylanders game of a little eyeball guy who is another banestone that's right in front of my opponent there as well. So, pretty open terrain. Now, hopefully that'll give me the opportunity I need to be able to kind of pick and choose my battles here. I'm not terribly familiar with the Dark Elves, so I'm just going to have to, I guess, find out by process elimination which ones I can handle and which ones I can't. So we'll go ahead and get into the deployment on the Dark Elf side. Okay, in the back there, that primed Pegasus Mini is actually his level 4 mate, Supreme Sorceress, I believe they're called, of Dark Magic. She's on a Dark Pegasus, and the only gear she has is a Dispel Scroll. I think that is a big mistake. Right in front of her is a unit of 5 Dark Riders with full command. Next to that is the unit of, I believe, and you'll have to forgive me because I'm likely to mess this up. I believe that is the unit of the Blackguard of Nagorond. With full command, they have the War Banner and his Dreadlord in them, which is his general. The Dreadlord has a Chill Blade, an Enchanted Shield, and a Talisman of Preservation. And right next to that is the Bloodrack Medusa. Okay, I apologize. That last unit was actually a unit of 17 Dark Shards with his level 2 mage of shadow magic? Yeah, shadow magic. This unit here that you see on the other side of the bolt thrower is the Blackguard unit. He also does have one bolt thrower there on the side, and I was correct as to what's in that unit as far as his Dreadlord, but it's a unit of 30 Blackguard with full command, his Dreadlord, and what have you. Um, huh. Now that I'm looking at this list, I can't seem to find that second mage he was using. There's a master in here, but that's it. And assassin that I didn't know about that'll pop up. So yeah, it actually looks like he didn't have a second mage, although we played with him having one, because it's not on this list. But oops, I guess that's... It was a kind of a rough day for my opponent. He had left his actual list at home, the one he had built for this fight, so he kind of threw everything together at the last moment. Oh no, there she is. She's all on a page by herself. That's all mixed up. So yes, there is a sorcerer in that unit of Dark Shards. I'm sorry. This is a very discombobulated army list here. But continuing on, he has a unit of 20 Corsairs with his Master, who's his battle standard bearer in there. And the Master has the heavy armor with the forward, the armor of destiny. Then he has another bolt thrower there, and on the far end he has a Cold One chariot. Okay, now hopefully I can remember my army with a little less confusion there. So starting at the left, I have a unit of 3 Plague Drones of Nurgle, full command. They have the Standard of Discipline and the Death's Head upgrade and the Plague Proboscis upgrade. Hiding behind them is Malisandra, the Keeper of Secrets. She has an Exalted Gift, which is the Chromatic Tome, and a lesser gift of Skill Swallower. Right next to that is my Skull Cannon of Khorne. And you can see the first half of my 40-man unit of Daemons of Slaanesh there. They have full command, and with them is Brya, the Bearer of the Sign, who is my battle standard bearer, and she has a single greater gift which she got in Corporeal Striker, so no armor saves can be taken against her. And if this list is starting to look a little familiar, it is actually the exact same list I used the last time I fought the dwarves with my demons. Being that I didn't really get to see the 40-man brick of Daemonettes in action, I decided to give it another go and see if I could get a use of it and decide whether I really want to do the Horde thing or not with them. Alright, and then here you see the Horde in its full glory. Next to that is the Mask of Slaanesh. The small unit up front is a unit of Chaos Furies, 5 of them marked Slaanesh. And I know you guys will probably say again, they're skirmishers, they all fly. We know, we play them as skirmishers. I just find skirmish movement trays to be obnoxious, and since it's such a small unit, we don't worry about it. So, I do know they are skirmishers. We play that as the rules. It's no big deal. Behind that is my unit of 20 Plague Bearers of Nurgle with full command, and they have the Gleaming Pendant. And with them is Galbus Plague Twin, my Herald of Nurgle, who is a level 1 caster of Nurgle. He has 2 lesser gifts. The first one is Skill Swallower, and the second I defaulted to the Always Strikes First sword. So that's the forces. Oh wait, that is incorrect. I do have one more unit, and that is my unit of 3 Nurgling bases that scouted behind the walls here. And mainly I scouted there to stop the Dark Riders from being able to Vanguard up into what I considered my weaker flank there. So my opponent said he wasn't planning on Vanguarding them up anyway. I'm not sure why, but I would like to think I did something okay there. So the Dark Elves got first turn, and he started by moving up on the right flank his Cold One Chariot and the Corsairs. Basically wanted to just move them far enough forward so that they were no longer within the area effect of the Banestone, which is that little black and white model that's right in front of the magic cards on the left side of the screen. And he's kind of providing a choke point for what he can shoot with the repeater crossbow or the bolt thrower thing, but I'm okay with that. Everything else he did not move. At the time, I was thinking maybe he's just got a lot of like long range magic and good shooting, and he was going to try and thin me down. The only other thing you see kind of hiding behind the bushes or the trees here, he did move up the unit of Blackguard as well as the Medusa, so that they're going to be close. This is when we found out that forest was a wildwood, and it did a wound to the Medusa. Um, okay, yeah, I think this is just a better shot I got, so you could see where the Medusa is, and like I said, she's got a toe in the forest, but he ended up rolling badly, and it hit and did a single wound to the Medusa, which for me I'm kind of happy with. It's nice to get some of that done earlier. So uh, his magic I pretty much stopped. Shooting was very little. I think he did a single wound to one of my plague drones, and that was about it. So we go into turn one for demons, and I actually tried to charge the dark uh, riders here. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe I was trying to block him up, but he stood and shot and didn't do anything. So here you basically see the plague drones move off to the side so that I can bring the cannon to bear on his repeater bolt thrower. I'm not really super concerned about the Medusa, but I still want to keep Malisandra hidden behind my cannon, so I'm getting the cover saves from there. And everything else I just move forward. I definitely made a mistake in my deployment. I put that horde right behind the forest, and now that I know that it's a wildwood, that's kind of annoyed me. And I put my plague bearers behind the Furies, and they're much slower than everything else in my army. So I'm basically just taking this time to kind of get my crap back together and make sure everything's straight. So Cannon blows the repeater bolt thrower to Kingdom Come, which is exactly what I needed. I have just too many models over there that one shot from the repeater bolt thrower could kill. So I definitely knew that was target one even before the Medusa. So the only other thing that I might have targeted otherwise was the Supreme Sorceress, but I thought she had a crazy ward save. And he stopped my magic. So we go into Dark Elf turn 2. He charges the Cold One Chariot into the Furies, which is going to just murder them. And he charged the Corsairs into the Plague Bearers. Now, I thought the Plague Bearers could handle this, because, I mean, they're pretty tough. Strength 4, Toughness 4 with regen. But I really kind of underestimated how badass those Corsairs are. And then over here, he charged the Medusa into the Skull Cannon of Corn. And now I think this is really my opponent's first mistake. I think he very much underestimated how badass that Skull Cannon can be. But on the other hand, I think he realizes he needs to get rid of it before I can shoot off all of his artillery. So I guess factoring that in, it wasn't a terrible idea. And then he starts bringing the Blackguard around this side. And maybe this is just us, but I think my group that we play with, we're just a little too afraid of forests. Mainly because we all roll atrociously when it comes to the inanimate objects of the board beating us all to death. But rather than kind of come forward into the main brunt of my unit, he's moving around here to support the Corsairs. So I guess that's a decent idea. And his Dark Shards move up on this side just to get closer to me. And I want to say he charged. No, he did not charge the Nurglings at this point. He just moved really, really close to him with the Dark Riders, and I guess I didn't get a picture of that. I must not have. So, yeah. And then he moves his Supreme Sorceress behind the Dark Shards. And I'm kind of curious as to why he's doing that, because at this point in the game, I still don't realize that he doesn't have any sort of defenses on her at all. Literally, a 6-up armor for being mounted is it. No ward save, no armor, no funky magic that's going to keep her alive. So I was thinking he had some big plan and just wanted to keep away. So he ends up throwing a magic spell on me, and I end up taking 2 wounds from it. And then he ends up doing 2 more wounds because it was a hex, and the dark magic thing where he rolls 2d6 strength 1 hits. So he ends up killing 2 with the initial spell and 2 more from the from the lore attribute. And then he got the I don't remember what the name of it is, but it's the spell Word of Pain, I think it is. So it's like lowers initiative, weapon skill, strength. I mean, it was brutal, and it only lowered everything 1, but it was enough to put some pain on my Plague Bearers. And you can see here, this is actually taken after the first combat. That Cold One Cannon just destroyed my Furies. Of course, then I paid it back by doing the exact same thing to his Medusa. She did 1 wound, and I just beat the ever-living crap out of her. Which is good, because I guess against the right matchup, that Medusa could kind of be a little scary, and I didn't really want to give her the option to be able to pick the right matchup. So I'm kind of glad she came to me and died appropriately. And here's where I find out that I really underestimated those Corsairs. Even with my regen, he ends up blowing off basically the entire back rank of the Plague Bearers, which, I mean, in 1 round of combat was pretty impressive, considering that the dwarves I played last with this army didn't kill this many Plague Bearers in the entire game. So, either through a combination of arrogance on my part, of thinking the Plague Bearers were amazing, and just not understanding the Dark Elves, I'm very worried at this point. I'm in a fight that I can't handle. But on the plus side, if they're fighting the Plague Bearers, they're not going to be fighting my squishier unit, so I'm okay with that. And you can see where the chariot overran. So this is my turn. The only charge I succeeded on doing was the Nurglings into the Dark Riders. I don't remember which order I did it, but the Plague Drones charged his Dark Shards unit, so did my Horde, and they both fled and literally stopped millimeters from the edge of the board. So I didn't even get the points for that, and that kind of frustrated me. So here you see where I moved Malisandra over and managed to get off Cacophonic Choir in this whole area. Didn't do a whole lot of casualties this time, but it was enough to give the Corsairs Always Strikes Last, and more importantly, put random movement on the Blackguard, which is fantastic for me because now it means he's basically going to have to waste another turn with D6 movement to keep coming over here before he can do anything. Now, probably the best thing that this did was it totally liquefied that Cold One chariot. I think I did 6 or 7 wounds to it. So now I have no worries about it running around the corner of this fight and getting into my backfield, which I was kind of worried about at this point. And so we go to the top of Dark Elves' turn 4, and you see the random movement of the Corsairs puts them, the random movement of the Blackguard puts them there, so they're going to, like I said, waste at least 1 more turn trying to maneuver and get something in if they can get a turn without the Cacophonic Choir going off, which may not happen. And over here, I forgot to take a photo of the first round of combat with the Nurglings, but we're in combat at this point, and it took 2 rounds of combat with the Nurglings versus the Dark Riders. I've only killed one of the Dark Riders, and the Nurglings have lost a whole base and 1 or 2 wounds off of the second base. So I'm very much not happy with that, and I need to get rid of them so I can get the Nurglings into something else. And you also see over here, he's moved his Supreme Sorceress back there, and this is probably a big mistake because he's put her within range of Cacophonic Choir. But at this point, my opponent's starting to get a little pissed off at how things are going because I'm rolling ward saves like a champ this round. He takes no more Plague Bearers, and he's making a few mistakes because of that. So Demon's turn. It is time to get rid of these Corsairs. So I slam the Mask, Malisandra, and the Corn Cannon into the flank of them, hoping that I can go ahead and crush them and reform for what I'm assuming is going to be the counterattack from the Blackguard if I can't get Cacophonic Choir off again. And here's what I was talking about a little overkill. I do slam the Plague Drones into the side of those Dark Riders just because I need to wipe them off the map and start chasing down those points in the Dark Shards at the top of the board. And then here you see that I just bring the Daemonettes out of the forest, headed straight for the Dark Shards because I want to wipe them out. Now, the only mistake I kind of made here is that by doing so, I've moved my BSB out of range of Malisandra. So if that fight goes bad, that I charged everything in, she's going to have to roll her demonic instability test by herself, which I don't think it's going to go bad, but it is a concern. And particularly it's not going to go bad when I squeeze off another Cacophonic Choir. I peel off like another 6 or 7 of the Corsairs, do, I think, another wound on the the Blackguard. But what I did mostly was destroy his Sorcerer Supreme. And this was the point I realized that she didn't have any defenses whatsoever, so I kind of felt like a jackass doing that. So we go into combat over here, and needless to say, the Dark Riders can't hold up to a flank charge from the Plague Drones, and they die to a man. So the Nurglings reform in a straight line so that there's enough room for the Plague Drones to reform facing the Dark Shards, so that I can just annihilate the shit out of that unit. And over here, yeah, it was a brutal combat. I killed everything except for the BSB. And then I figured when the BSB broke and fled, I would chase him down with the Corn Cannon and the Plague Bearers. So I declare that and go to roll to restrain with Malisandra and the Mask. The Mask succeeded, Malisandra didn't. So Malisandra and the Corn Cannon slam into the Blackguard, and the poor Plague Bearers end up failing their charge and do not succeed in getting in there. So now I've just got my Keeper of Secrets and the cannon against that whole unit of Blackguard, plus his Dreadlord, plus I'm to find out a assassin as well. So we go into Dark Elves turn 5, and I gotta give them this much credit. Those Dark Shards are trying to handle it for everything it's worth. Between magic from the sorcerer in there and shooting, they end up peeling off another 5 Daemonettes off my horde. Really, it's not going to be enough, but it's definitely an awesome final FU to that unit before they get beaten to death. Over here, he pops his assassin, who ends up doing 1 wound to Malisandra. Malisandra, I challenge, that's what happened. So the assassin steps up in the challenge, he does 1 wound to Malisandra, and I kill him in the challenge. Since she has Skill Swallower, I decide to increase my wounds by 1 point, so it basically washed. We did a bunch of damage, but the unit's stubborn and they stuck. So we go into Demon's turn 5, and I being tired of this unit at this point, I plow into the Dark Shards. I think they stood and shot and took one more. Yeah, I think it was one more Daemonette off of that line. So I've only got 29 of my original 40, but it's still going to be well more than enough that I need to kill that unit. So I turn the Plague Drones and the Nurglings around and start moving them in this direction so that I can get over there and provide support to Malisandra and the Corn Cannon if it needs. But I think at this point, we both kind of realize that the game's over and it's just in a process of cleanup at this point. And over here, my Plague Bearers, realizing that they have no room to get into that fight, decide to go wander off over here and use the Nurgle spell to destroy the last Bolt Thrower that had been just kind of firing and missing at some of the stuff at the far end of the board. But I end up getting the points for that as well. So really all we've got to do is kind of resolve these last two combats and game over. And needless to say, the Dark Shards get beat. They do 2 wounds to the Daemonette unit, and I don't kill them to a man. They actually run off the board, and I let them escape. Mainly because there's no real point in chasing them down at this point. Anything they rolled was going to throw them off the board, so I stopped and reformed, looking towards the center. And over here, Malisandra does just a butt-ton more damage. Between her and the Corn Cannon, I think we kill 6 or 7 of the Blackguard, and they are not, or no, they are stubborn with like leadership 10, but he rolls an 11, and that is the point where my opponent basically gets wiped off the board because we run him down, and that's game. Lokir Fellheart paced back and forth on the deck of the Black Ark Willbreaker. His expedition force was a day past its retrieval time, and Tilandra did not tolerate tardiness. Neither did his pockets. Finally, one of the scouts called back to say that the force was approaching. He walked down the vile Bretonnian shore to meet the supreme sorceress Devon and get to loading the slaves they returned with. However, once the force appeared in his sight, he saw only Devon's apprentice, Talira, and a few of his dark shards returning, with no slaves in tow with them. Talira approached slowly and bowed to the Kraken Lord. "My lord, we were assaulted by a large force of demons. We had no warning of their attack, and no foreknowledge that they had any ties to this region. I believe I actually saw the vile Malisandra, if I'm not very much mistaken. I took our remaining forces and returned here to tell you. If I may gather more troops, I will return and crush them." Lokir grabbed the sorceress in mid-sentence and kissed her. She had been his consort for the past year, and he had grown fond of the spellcaster. "It's good to see you again as well, my lord. I will not fail you." Talira never finished her sentence, due to the result of her head being removed from her body by one of Lokir's red blades. He turned to the leader of the remaining dark shards. "Get your men on board. We return home with the prizes we have already claimed. Tilandra must know of the Daemon's presence here." With that, he cleaned his blade upon the cloak of the beheaded sorceress, picked up her staff that was floating in the waves, crashing upon the shore, and walked back onto his ship. So, we finally see that when forced to do her own fighting, Malisandra and her demon army are more than capable of handling business on their own. It was a good game. I kind of felt bad on it, as so much of it really relied on that sort of 2 turns of cacophonic choir I managed to get off. And I know it was annoying my opponent, and I feel bad, because, I mean, it always sucks when those big spells just end you, and I guess this is the first time I've really seen kind of how busted cacophonic choir can be, as I've never really hit, or rather, it's never really had the kind of instant destruction that it involved here. Um, so I kind of felt bad about that. I know he didn't really have any fun with this because with the way things went, I pretty much held his head underwater and beat him to death with plague bearers. So I can definitely understand that it was not a fun game for my opponent. As far as advancing the story, I think it worked well. But as far as the new, or I guess it's not a new list. As far as the list goes, um, I may actually switch up for a little bit with Melisandre and either put the demon prince that serves her in as the general for a little while, or try her with Shadow and see how that works instead. Um, maybe with the more buff debuff nature of Shadow, it won't seem as quite as horrible magic wise. Um, as far as the horde question, I don't think I like the horde for the Daemonettes. I think the big benefit of the Daemonettes is that they're very quick and maneuverable, and when you put them in a big old block horde like that, it makes them somewhat less so. Particularly with like the forest, like it was, slows everything down. So I think I'm going to go back to dealing with them in 2 units of 20 instead of a single unit of 40. As far as everything else, I love the plague drones. I've always loved my Nurglings, and the plague bearers are strong. I mean, they're great bricks. I thought they were very much in trouble early on because they basically got cut down to half strength super fast, but they still managed to tie up the Corsairs for long enough for the big heavy hitters in the army, namely Malisandra, to get over there and finish the work they had begun. So that was pretty good. The one thing I questioned from my opponent's tactics once we were in the fight is he never threw any attacks against my Herald of Nurgle, which probably would have been the better way to go. He only had to do 2 wounds, and it would have stripped the whole unit of the regen. So I probably would have done that. And particularly since it took, like, for 2 turns, I was specifically targeting his BSB and just couldn't kill the damn thing because it had such a high armor save. But I probably would, that would be my recommendation to him next time, is to kill the Heralds. Because really, the Demon Heralds are not very well defended. And they bring a lot to those units. And if you can go ahead and kill them, you can really take a lot out of that unit by doing so. The other thing that's sort of miffed me during the last couple of games I've played, I really don't know how to use the Chaos Furies. Like, they don't really work. I guess they work okay as chaff, or redirectors rather, but chaff, they can't flee, so I can't do any sort of tricks like that. And I find myself that I'm just kind of throwing them away game after game. So maybe that's something I'll try playing without them for a little while and see what happens. And maybe it turns out that I decide they're not necessary, or maybe I'll see what happens when I don't have them around and decide that I need to just learn how to play them, or that I've been playing them right given my style. So I guess we'll see how that goes. All in all, I enjoyed doing the battle report. I don't think my opponent will enjoy reliving this particular battle, but I do apologize for the early on part where I just got totally confused by his list. In these pictures, the models kind of look a lot alike, and I don't know Dark Elves that well, so maybe I should borrow the book and read up on them or do something, but I just don't know them very well. But all in all, if you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the channel, like the videos below, and respond with any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints that you might have. Otherwise, we have one more game, another narrative battle that went on tonight that I'm going to get up soon, and I've got the makings now, the pictures and whatnot, for 2 more of the Fluffmaster videos dealing with 2 of the other armies in the narrative, so it's going to be a pretty busy week for the channel. And I'm hoping to have all that done Well, as soon as I can. So, thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next